especially like these kind of technical report that if you want to use AI is basically very, very limited, and what it can provide is very shallow. So I am fully aware. So I'm not stopping you from doing so, but if you want to, that's fine. I just want to check over the plagiarization check, okay? Lastly is that I am aware that within this class we have a mixture of a student, meaning that we have student that's graduate level, and undergrad levels we have student that's domestically and student that's internationally. Regardless of whichever kind of level that we're taking this class is particularly offered with no background whatsoever. So you can take this class regardless if you have no engineering background. However, as that said, is that I am fully aware for other classes you're taking, some classes actually ask you to also write a report, same as like this one, where I am asking you to submit a term paper. So please be taking this report very high ethic standard, meaning that please do not submit the same report from the same other class where you take that report and submit it to mine, all right? So please do not try to kind of play this kind of technique or thing going on, because again, we do have a software at NTUSD that again at the same time check plagiarism and at the same time check if you're submitting the same thing document or not. So for those, if I caught onto it, if there's a red alert, basically I will fail you. So again, take necessary precautions and be vigilant about writing this term paper. So it's cost you 70%. Now, I always like to give you like the difficult part, but really writing this term report is really easy if you follow the step. What I am not asking you is to write a term paper and then, at the end of the semester you submit this term paper and suddenly you get a score or 90 or 95. Actually, it is really not like that. I am very kind of helping you going through step by step. At the end of the semester, then you will have a term paper. So this 70% is basically a accumulations of the steps that we go through, and then each step that you follow, if you submit it, regardless of how the content it is, basically you will get the full mark. Okay, so I'm not kind of throwing you in a shadow, nowhere. Okay, so I think as long as you follow the instructions, you will basically get the 70%. All right, is that clear? All right, so this kind of agenda or curriculum, I'll submit it. I'll basically upload to Moodle where you can follow. So right now, this is week 2 right now, so we're looking at week 2. That's me. I am Professor Tsai, or Dr. Tsai, whichever name you want to call me, that's fine. Today, I will go into the topic about Sprague introduction and Sprague family. So I did a briefly intro about myself last week and talked about what my expertise is. Basically, my PhD dealt with a lot of cold spray, thermal spray, anything to do with spray. So when we talk about spray, it involves with powder, right? So powder can be any form. It can be ceramic powder, metal powders, and polymer powders. Powder can be different morphologies, can be also at the same time different size distribution as well, right? For those that are not familiar with, I don't want to limit you to just, when you think about spray, it's only limited to industrial applications. It can be also to consumer goods as well, right? So when I say consumer goods, it can be also like detergent, for example, or perhaps it can be also perfume that also generate little small bubbles and stuff. Wow. Right? So week 3, that's next week is Mr. Yan will talk about AM and ceramic materials, and week 4 we have Dr. Lee, and then so forth and so on. All right. So again, those that already know about this, bear with me. But for those new ones that are taking this class is not a typical classroom setting that you're sitting in. Normally, when a normal traditional class, we will have an instructor kind of standing in the front and then start lecturing and talking all about other stuff. And maybe they have a PowerPoint or something like that. But this is a non-traditional, unconventional classes what I'm offering right now. So if you feel uncomfortable or you feel kind of bizarre or confused, I strongly suggest you we'll have a recess after this class, come and talk to me about where this class is going to, so that you know fully aware of this class I'm taking you into, all right? So, if you look on the right-hand side, we have the subtopic and notes, right? So this is basically the topic that we're covering through each week by week. So again, next week we'll talk about AM, specifically in ceramic material. Fourth week we'll talk about XRD, especially aiming at residual stresses or residual strain. How do we use XRD to measure residual stresses and residual strains? I mean, I know a lot of people that are sitting in this classroom know about XRD, the fundamental ones, right? For those that does not know, that's fine. And then we have powder injection molding that dealt with powder that form all these little small component items. So over here, I highlight the half-page proposal due. So this again is what I mentioned last week, is basically you need to submit a half-page proposal telling me what your plan for writing this tone paper is, right? So again, it's half-page proposal. Last week, if you remember, I already have the template. I also have the example. I have not uploaded to Moodle, but again, this is the due date. So that's around March 25 and between 29. I'll set a deadline for this. So after this, as long as you submit, you get the full mark for that. Okay. All I need to know from you is that if this makes sense or not, so that you don't waste your time writing a tone paper where I reject at the end. Right? So that's basically what it is. So midterm, basically we won't have any class. So there won't be any midterm exam. We just have the class being canceled. So coming along week 9, I'll talk about a little bit of material microstructure, mechanical performances, to just give you a highlight, a little bit of shallow content of what current expectation for graduate students, especially in material science, what sort of fundamental knowledge you should already have, which is sort of a review. And then at week 9, the same as I'm expect for you to list the 6 references. So when we're writing this tone paper, you can think about this tone paper as a review paper. So what does that mean by review paper? So when I say review paper, it's basically you read a set of papers that you found or somewhat a relationship between, and then organize into your own. You digest it, and then you roll through your own wording. Right? So it's not like you read this paper and you copy, paste, Control V and Control C. It's not like that. All right? So you need to read and regenerate from what you're saying. All right? So the list of 6 references due, meaning that I also need to know what paper are you reading for helping you to write this review paper or term paper. So as I stated, it's a list of 6 references, meaning that I'm not stopping you if you want to put more, say 7, 8, 9, 10. But I think I believe the minimum, or I should say that the minimum is 6 references in order for you at least to write a somewhat a quality-wise term paper. Does that make sense? So list of 6 references. There also last week I somewhat showed you the structures. You need to follow the structures, and etc. And then the following we'll talk about a little bit about rheology, something to do with additive manufacturing. Again, powder injection molding, and then this is the outline that's being due. So outline basically is the bone structure of your term paper. You can imagine that when you read a paper, usually when you read a paper, I believe everybody in somewhat already encountered reading paper, especially the graduate students, right? So when you read a paper, usually there will be an abstract in the front, right? You have an abstract, and then you have an introduction, and then the following content is experimental method, and then results in discussion, and then finally conclusion, right? So that's the 4 main key usually when you read a paper. So there's always a trick of reading a paper. If you somewhat find yourself limited of time, what do you normally do when you read a paper? You first read an abstract, and then you go jump down to the conclusion, and then wrap up, right? You can skip the results and discussions and experimental method, right? So the outline basically is to give me the bone structure of your paper, right? So what exactly, you don't have to particularly follow the normal structure of introductions, experimental method, results and destructions, and conclusion. You can be a little bit creative, but at the same time, the format has to be consistent. So I already gave you an example of template for that, you don't have to worry. Last week 15 is where you submit your term paper. So week 13, 14 right now is still undecided, but I believe week 13 I'll invite someone that's in the software company called Moldex 3D. It dealt with a lot of simulations that I think it will really help you in future-wise if you're kind of also dealing with paleontology-wise. Okay, so week 14, PPD needs to be designed right now, that doesn't need it. Right now I don't have a particular speaker that's designated, but we'll find someone. And then week 15, basically we have no class, and week 16 is the final exam, so this is comprehensive exam. All right, so week 17 is what I so-called the office hour. So regardless, I'm stating this is office hour, basically is to tell you that at this point right now, if you have any issue about your grade, particularly your grade that, it's very important, right? Week 17 is the cutoff. You need to come and talk to me and sit down and tell me that what is your concern and, is there anything you can do? However, I don't think that if you have problems, you shouldn't really wait till week 17 and come to my office and tell me, hey, hey, professors, I need an A for this class. And somehow you fail to submit all your report, and then your exam really suck. I don't hesitate to use this word. So there's no hope for that. So I'm just stating that if you have problems, I think the best idea is each of these classrooms will, finish. You should come and talk to me. I'm always approachable. All right. So don't, let that stop you from asking me questions. All right. So these questions, these are the term paper you should submit. Your first name, last name, and then the proposal name, and the course content. All right. Please follow this format. First name, last name, and then NE 540170, and then proposal, right? So this is always, and then you have the reference outline template. So I'm asking you is to do such a thing is I am sort of, begging. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't think teachers should beg student, right? But I'm hoping you guys make my life a lot easier, right? So have this so that I can easily find your file, all right? So grading, 10, 15, 15, 30. So this make up basically the equivalent of 70% of your grade, right? Does that make sense? So 10% half page, 15%, 6 references, 50% outline and term paper, and 3% term paper. Does that make sense? So this, once you accumulate 70%, right? So this is where when you submit, you get the full grade. So if you submit a half the page proposal, you get 10%. You submit a list of 6 references, you get 15%. You submit outline term paper, you get 15%. Term paper costs you 30%. So this term paper basically is the meat of your content, right? So this over here is not what you submit, you get 4 points, right? So I will assess how much you get from this little point. Basically, it's again like consistency, scrambles, typos, and does it make any sense whatsoever, right? So 30%. Does that make sense to everyone? Do you guys have any questions? We've spent enough time about this. All right. I wish I could use my iPad because it leverage me for using the pen a lot easier. But regardless, you can use old traditional and fashioned way of PowerPoint on this podium. Well, all right. So talk about power technology. So let's go directly dive into spray technology. So today I'll start with introduction, or basically bring up the 3 different kind of content. One is spray coating device type. And give you a kind of bird's eye view of what currently industry we're looking at with spray coating device. Second is the cold spray technology. That's sort of, we'll spend hopefully half of our time maybe going through future-wise about what cold spray technology are, what it is, what is the scientific founding behind these kind of stuff, and etc. And a little bit application, what can we do using cold spray technology, right? These are the 3 things, okay? So, this the Stray family, you guys don't have to worry. Each of these, for all of what I talked about, like the talking points and the notes and stuff, I will upgrade it, upload it, not upgrade, upload it to Budo. And at the same time, I have asked my graduate students in my research group to video read. This is video recorded right now, right? So I am also currently being video recorded. So not to worry if you miss some of the stuff you want to review. My student will upload this onto Budo. All right. So again, my takeaway for this is help you to enjoy this class.